A brief message from your friendly neighborhood editing Jordan. This is your content warning. We try to keep things PG-13 around here. However, certain among us have a proclivity towards foul language and foul humor. So viewer discretion is advised. This is your only warning. While we're at it, I should probably note that any opinions stated about a certain tabletop role-playing game are just that, our opinions. We have been longtime fans and players of the game, and so we have a vested interest in how game mechanics work, and as a hobby in our group, we enjoy yelling at each other over rules interpretations. So everything that we say is all in good fun. With that in mind, however, I will still ask, wizards, please hire us. Well, with that out of the way, enjoy the show.
Won't somebody get me a drink?
Oh yeah, what do you want?
I really want to try Terran's apple soda.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically Terrans?
Well, he told me about it yesterday, so it's his.
He does like that stuff. I don't think I've ever tried it, but he is a big fan.
Sounds interesting. Is it expensive?
No, I think it's like the Kroger brand.
$4 to a bottle.
Then I must steal it. For I am
Soda
morally bankrupt. And I believe in stealing from the big corporation.
Some would argue that's not morally bankrupt.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. There could be an argument made to that.
My intentions are impure, so it still is.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. To a point.
No, if you were stealing it directly from Terran mid-drink, then it would probably be more morally bankrupt, because then you're not stealing it from the corporation.
Honestly, I'd say you're doing
Terran.
a favor to society at that point.
No!
Okay, what if I'm trying to steal the income from the person at the factory putting the cans in the cardboard thingy?
Well, when you say stealing
container.
their income, do you mean like you're taking everything from them, or just taking a small percentage from them?
Like a small percentage.
Paycheck.
Well, I'm not like a monster, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to be a villain.
You're just gonna take a little bit every paycheck.
Yeah, enough to like make them be like, I used to be able to afford fries, now I have to get.
So taxes.
Yeah. But like, I want them to know that I'm mean. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I might be mean.
Well, yeah, no. So taxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I love taxes. Hey everybody, welcome to the Nat One Podcast, aka Nope, because nope, you're not gonna want to hear what we're about to have to say. I'm Pertuset.
I'm Levi.
And I'm Jordan.
Milt?
Yes, sir. Call me, never mind.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Nat One Podcast. It's episode 200 something.
No, it's 443.
Actually?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, my God.
143. Goddamn.
Okay.
What did you say?
Okay.
I said 443.
I thought you said 140. Okay.
I said no. It is 143. Hold on, I'm double checking. Yes,
Holy
this is
moly.
143.
You scared me for a second. I was like, "There's no way."
No, I got the 4 because it's season 4, episode 143. Because we've been doing this for 4 years.
My goodness.
What was the old quote? How many days were there in March again?
March
Oh my God,
31st
yeah.
is a real day.
Yeah.
Listen. Idiots. There are 34 and 31 days in March. God
True.
damn it.
There were.
Guys, March 31st is a real day.
That's us right now, guys. 143 episodes.
Oh.
Well, anyway.
We're still talking about D&D.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but we're not talking
We've moved
about...
away from the negative, though. Now we're talking about things that are fun.
Yeah, we're just talking about our personal D&D stuff, thoughts, opinions, and experiences. Abstract. No rules here. If you want rules, stay anyway, watch the whole video, and then go watch our other videos.
Well, there might be a little bit of rules.
There might be mechanics, because we do have to figure out how to operate within the game and also be bad guys.
Okay.
You like rule mechanics. Don't make that face at me.
Yeah, that's true. It's like mock trial. I work best within a loose set of rules.
Exactly.
Well, we've alluded to it a little bit, but what is it we're actually talking about today, guys?
I
Why you,
forgot.
why are you looking at
Oh my
me?
God. We're talking about playing not necessarily evil, but morally ambiguous characters in D&D. This is something we've sort of mentioned before in the past. But we haven't done an episode, at least not that I'm aware of, but it's been 143, so I might be wrong. Um, Dedicated specifically to playing morally ambiguous characters in Dungeons and Dragons and or evil characters. We can lump those in there as well. It's just that the assumption is generally you're going to play good people first. That's going to
Yeah.
be like your first
Mhm.
experience is you play a morally good person because that's easy to do.
Or murder hobos, which don't fall into either camp. They're just annoying.
Yeah. So, yeah. And this was brought on by the fact that in the current campaign our group is playing, they them because I'm DMing this one, so that's why I say they seem to have come to the slow realization that they might not be the good guys this time around.
Oh no, it was not a slow realization. This we've been aware.
I don't know
What,
if you
the
have. I don't know if
assassination
I don't
didn't tip
know
you
if
off?
we as a collective we has been. You might have been.
I've been
Pertuset might
painfully
have
aware.
been. But I don't know if we applies collectively to the whole group still. Um, the two of
Actually,
you who are here, certain.
correct. The I will also say player character wise, I think there are two people that are painfully aware that we are not the good guys, and then everybody else is like, "Yay, we're on an adventure! My
Yeah.
family's dead."
Yeah. But I suppose what would be a good starting point for this conversation?
Uh,
How do you play a morally ambiguous character well, so to speak, instead of just
well,
having it devolve into murder hobo?
that's
I
a
guess
hard thing
that's
to
a
discuss,
yeah.
just because it depends on the color of or the shade of gray you're trying to do, right? If
Well,
Yeah.
you're
I
a
think that's
thief,
a good discussion because we've got two different kinds of morally ambiguous characters here.
yeah, I don't think there's a foolproof guide because it depends on what you're doing. But generally, it's don't kill willy-nilly is the final answer. Oh,
What
take
if that's
everything with a
part of
grain
my
of salt.
character?
Well, change your character. That's all I got to say.
What if my character is a serial killer because he had a bad childhood growing up
Uh,
and he devolved into killing people as a way to sort of express himself and overcome his own traumas and issues.
I advise you
The
find a
sad
different
thing is, I've
table.
heard that exactly from someone before.
Yeah, people like doing that. They think they're cool. They think they're unique. I've had this conversation with Jordan before, not you. Um, there are too many people on this planet that think they're unique.
Dang.
It's true. But anyway, you need to change yourself now. There's something wrong with your brain if you think that's a good D&D character.
No, I don't want to be morally good. You can't
But
make me.
you don't have to be morally good, just be smart,
Oh, okay.
or at
Just
least
be
less
smart and don't be
stupid
Oh,
destructive.
okay.
Yeah.
and selfish. Don't be selfish either.
No, no, okay.
It's a cooperative game, dummy. In fact, allow me to illustrate my point with my current character, who's probably morally gray, but as far as I'm aware, he's not done anything to make anybody think so yet.
Mm,
Has
mm.
he?
I I can't say things because this is stuff that should be talked about in character.
Well, for
God
the
damn it.
I think for the sake of the episode, we can. I
For the
think
sake
both
of
of
the
you are good enough players that you can
yeah.
suspend yourselves from being
Hmm.
like we talked about this in real life
Yeah,
Yeah.
at
no.
the table.
I don't think Kai has done anything that's like alarm bells, but to you you're very nice and you're very generous, and that is suspicious to the person that is aware of the way the world works, and that's where my mind goes is like Ren is a little bit suspicious because nobody's that nice all the time. That's not possible.
True.
But not because you literally haven't done anything, and it's the not having done anything that's like the what the fuck is going on.
Exactly. And that's the exact vibe I'm going for.
Mhm.
But precisely because of that, my character has not done anything to warrant suspicion outside of because he hasn't done anything, it warrants suspicion.
Yeah.
Um, but I haven't killed anybody. Like, that didn't deserve it.
No one
Um,
that didn't attack you guys first.
Yep.
precisely. Um, all of my spells for the most part are support spells, for one. So anytime I do anything to help or to cast, it's usually helping somebody.
I think
And
really the only
additionally,
one that you use for damage is magic missiles.
yes, because I played Baldur's Gate 3. And then other than that, he's kind of been like a counselor or mediator for the group by and large,
Yeah.
either settling disputes or advising people in difficult times and situations. So, and you know what? I say all this, and you're probably wondering where's the morally ambiguous part? Well, you don't know what his final intentions are. Um, First off, there have been many times when the party was about to die, and he was like, "All right, great, finally, get them out of here."
Now I'm free.
But he would never be the one to get the finishing blow because then that would make anybody else turn on him.
Hmm.
And then, secondly, I can say it. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Because I trust Jordan to keep it out. But
Keep it out of the podcast or
no,
not
just
use it in game.
Keep
in
my
game.
clan's name out your mouth.
Exactly. But Caiaphas, my character, despite being so overly nice, intends on getting to a point of such immense strength and power that he'll be able to destroy all life
Oh, I
in
knew
the
this.
known world. Yeah, true.
I was aware of this.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
been
so.
vaguely hinted at before.
Mm,
Not in game, but out of game.
Yeah.
yes.
So people have made assumptions, I think,
Mm,
as to what Caiaphas's intentions are.
it's true. So began the character concept with that in mind because I wanted to make a foolproof villain that would remain true to their goals till their end. And so far it's worked. And by doing so, despite him being a definitely evil character, uh, I've not played him in such a way where he's like a murder hobo,
Hmm.
nor does he do anything overly selfish. And upon a glance, most people would think he's good aligned, which means he's the perfect evil character, in my mind, anyway. So that's an example, Levi. Make your serial killer, but they only kill bad people. Become Dexter Morgan.
There you go.
Okay.
Or don't do that again, because it's kind of lame. And
Yeah.
No,
literally everybody
no.
does it.
I will always maintain that like it's really hard to come into D&D with the idea of playing a serial killer because people tend to forget you mostly start at level 1. Like most campaigns that you're starting at start at level 1. So the likelihood that you will have the ideal body count and skill set that you would like your character to have for aesthetics at that point is not realistic for a
Mm-mm.
level 1 character.
Hey, most serial killers in real life are level 1.
I don't know if that's true.
Are they? Like that's I don't think
I can stab them once and they'll probably die because they have like 4 hit points.
I think they're just playing a different game because like they definitely
Yeah.
have way more skill proficiencies than I do.
they're playing Fatal.
I think
Tell
some
me
of
I'm
them
wrong.
were.
Some of them,
Tell me
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
wrong.
some of them that does line up really well. Others, adjacent. Some of them are just in it for the love of the game. So
True. But yeah. I don't know. And then there's other shades, like being a thief.
Indeed.
Can be morally gray. Can also be a Robin Hood, which
Mhm.
is, I guess, morally gray, but if I'm being honest, it's more like morally off-white.
Yeah, I mean there's still a pretty strict code there.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like Robin Hood is like the archetypical chaotic good kind of character,
Yes.
pretty much.
exactly.
So
But if you're not being a Robin Hood type thief, I suppose it's morally gray because it's not good to steal in theory, but like it's
Says the guy
also,
wearing stolen armor.
hey, I didn't hurt nobody. I just took food out of his mouth.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was doing fine.
he'll be all right.
He'll make it
No,
again.
who else was going to buy that with how much it was going to cost, huh? Who was
Honestly,
buying
yeah.
that, right?
they're
Right,
gonna
Levi?
return and he's gonna be poverty stricken. You're
His store is gonna be closed.
I'll pay him back.
boarded up windows.
I'll repair it.
Destitute, desolate.
I'll fix it.
He's emaciated.
I'll buy him dinner. Now I have money now is the thing, but
Yeah.
I took out a loan. Man, I mean it's just thievery is a cool way I think to do it. If you're gonna have a character that's not fully good and you're gonna do it for selfish reasons, go ahead and do that one because it's rarely gonna be harmful unless you're trying to steal from the party. So if you're gonna do it, I think namely just don't be stupid and make it like an uncontrollable urge.
Yeah.
And also don't be stupid and try to steal from the party, even if it isn't an uncontrollable urge. Be a smart person.
Instead,
I
try to
think-
steal from the poor.
Exactly.
I think
Robin
there is
Hood.
an art to playing a thief in D&D because you see a lot of the Reddit horror stories of like I was a rogue and then everybody got mad at me that I stole all their gold while they were sleeping and I was supposed to be on watch. Like that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like we're talking about thieves and my character is a thief.
Mhm.
But the like we were talking about with the armor, Ren has actually not stolen anything that was for, despite being incredibly vain, has not actually stolen anything for themselves, I think. I don't think that there's been anything that's just been like a sticky fingers thing. It's always been for utility. Because we
Mhm.
got Typhus's armor,
Mm.
and I want to say there was maybe another incident, but I can't. There was the library. I stole a library book.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning of the game, I stole a library book.
From
But other
a
than that,
highly secure library, I
Yes.
should add.
yes, from a highly secure library, and I even technically got caught and then didn't get caught, so it was a feat. But yeah, I think that's the thing about playing a thief is, and we talked about this before, is the suspension of disbelief because yeah, you want to have like cool character modes and you do want to play like the edgy rogue, but you also have to remember that you're stuck with these idiots that you're playing with for the long run.
Yes.
And being the edgy loner is not fun for anybody else that you're playing with. So don't steal from your party.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's why Dylan didn't mention the huge ass diamond that he's been hiding since the first session.
That he
Because he's
very
afraid
recently
somebody's gonna take
sold.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I may not have taken it. I don't know if TJ would have left it alone.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot he had it after a point.
I
Because
don't know
he
what
had
anyone
just
has.
he had just not done anything with it since session 0, which has been like probably
Almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year from now.
Been about 10
So
months.
Well, session 0, I think, was 2 years.
Session
Was
0
it?
was a long, long time ago because
Yeah.
it was pre end of Olympus.
Because
Mhm.
we've been playing Viv 3 for a year almost.
Really?
Mhm.
April.
April.
God, it doesn't feel that long.
Beginning of
Well,
April.
we did intersperse with the end of Olympus, and we didn't play for a little bit because of scheduling conflicts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. But
But then
what?
you two made characters with those intentions of having them be like that from the get-go. But now I think we should talk about something that's been going on because of one of you. Not necessarily
Jordan,
not
what'd you
because of
do?
Jordan,
I'm sorry.
but having a
I did do
character be
something.
morally gray in the sense not that they are already willing to do things that are not necessarily, I keep saying necessarily, morally good, but that they are moldable to do those things.
Mm.
And that's supposedly something that 2 of our players have tried to do in the campaign we've played. I think it's been expressed more from one than another, though. But that could also just be recency bias because of what happened last night.
That still went so hard.
Wait, what are you talking about?
You
I'm talking
corrupting
about
Dylan.
Brandon. I'm talking.
What happened?
Don't
I went to sleep. I
what
forgot.
happened, me?
We have
Um,
2 characters that are in the campaign that are they skew younger. One is actually 16, and then Medley is 18? Question mark.
I don't even know
I can't
anymore.
remember. They're a bird.
Medley is younger. And so both of them play their characters and I love the way that both of them um played as a very like they grew up too
Naive.
fast, but they're still incredibly naive.
Yeah.
And so it leads to a lot of like there's some room for manipulation from forces that are inside the party.
But this gets us to now, how do you, as a morally gray character, interact with other characters and perhaps try to, use them for your own ends? So last night we had a very good example of that. I keep saying last night. We played D&D last night.
Yeah.
Um, where after a combat encounter had happened that was triggered by one party member being greedy and wanting to go search for loot in a very obvious ambush location. um One of the other party members, this Brandon that I mentioned, who is very young, he's 16 years old, got really, really mad because he figured that this character who had sprung this ambush on himself, basically, because he was the only person that went there, pretty much endangered everyone in the group for no reason other than he was being greedy. So he got really upset. He kind of went off in a huff. And then Mr. Pertuset decided to go speak to him alone. And in said conversation, he said a phrase which I don't think any of us are going to forget for a while now, just because of how it went down, which was that you can't keep a fool from a fool's fate, or something along those lines. That's paraphrasing it. And then later, when this younger character, Brandon, was talking to another party member, he repeated the exact same phrase when talking about his own anger of the situation.
I
And that
almost
was
broke fucking character whenever that happened. I was like,
that
what?
that was a moment where I think everyone was like,
Oh
oh, when it
no.
happened. Because that was a live sort of encapsulation of Brandon being molded by the experiences he's had with these other not necessarily morally upstanding people in the group. Um, and actually, funnily enough, I even think Ren, Jordan's character, it was either right before or right after that, you said, I don't think it's a bad thing to care,
That's exactly what I
which
said,
was
and I
pretty
was like,
much the
that's
opposite of the sentiment that Caiaphas was giving. And I
Levi,
think it
you know
was,
what I was going for.
yeah, in response to that, I think that's what Brandon said. You can't keep a fool from a fool's fate.
Yeah.
And so that's like, you've moved. Your
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
mental window of what is right and wrong has moved because of that. And it's just a cool moment.
That
To
was we
not
had that
only
conversation immediately after, and I was like, how can I put as like a litmus test for how bad this is
mhm.
right now?
And see that, I think, is a good way of not only having your own characters be in that way, in sort of a morally gray area, but um showing, the benefits of party interaction and how characters play off of one another and not necessarily just stonewalling other people to be like, no, I'm just going to be good. And I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say, even though I've been traveling with you for months now and have gained at least a modicum of trust between the two of us and kind of care about you as an individual. Like,
Indeed. Um, I thought that was very cool. It was very fun to do that, which I'll get more into that for a minute. But before then, I want to talk about something that you and I have spoken about, Levi. I think it was like in before we were doing Umineko or after, I can't remember. I had been considering a difficult task because this is the second character I've ever tried to do it with, but this is the one that's been more successful because, well, Victor had his own battles to fight.
mm,
Um, but I want to convince the party to align with Caiaphas's goals. But obviously, if Caiaphas comes out and says, "Hey, I want you all to help me destroy the world," they're probably not all going to be like, "Yep, let's do it." Um, so I've been doing it slowly, methodically, being a nice guy and getting on their side and becoming a voice they can trust. So that way, when the time comes, they already see things the way I do. But this is the thing that we were talking about. There's a difficult thing, and it's something that doesn't exist in real life that does exist in D&D, and that is the unshakable will of a player.
Yeah.
Yep.
Characters are subject to the desires of the player above all else. Even if a character, in theory, is easy to persuade from one thing or another, either because they are young, or because they are vain, or because they are greedy, etc., etc. If the player is like, no, I don't want my character to do that, they will not do it. That's the end of the buck right there. That's
Or at the
the
very least, they'll try to find a way for their character to not do it before
Mhm.
acquiescing,
hmm
which generally will lead to the character not doing it.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. I will not fault that because it's a game at the end of the day and you should play it the way you want to. But it becomes a lot harder to do social manipulation because you're not just fooling a player who is a person, you're also fooling, or you're not just fooling a player character that's a person, you're also fooling the player that's controlling the character. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. Oh, but to my happiness, Dylan, who's one of our goats, watch the Pokemon video if you haven't.
So
Um,
good.
um, he is really good with roleplay. He's one of our better ones in our group for sure, for sure, for sure. So he is playing his character in such a way that he is open to his character changing, which not everybody would do that. Um, and we saw that full on last night. I didn't expect that was going to happen.
Mm-mm.
In fact, I think that conversation is probably the most, if we're going to just keep saying it, I take a drink every time we say this phrase, morally gray conversation that Caiaphas has had with Brandon. Most other conversations, honestly, weren't bad advice, I don't think,
No.
generally. This was the first one where he was like, maybe you shouldn't care about other people so much,
Yep.
which,
That broke my heart whenever you said that, but in like the best way.
mhm. And
I
it was
loved it.
beautiful,
I loved it.
and it worked.
It did.
And it was also really funny when after I said that line, that what did Dylan say? He said it in a telltale way.
He said, let me roll for a second, and he rolled a D100,
He said
then he
Brandon
said,
will remember
Brandon
this.
will remember this.
He said it like it was a
And we're-
telltale
both,
game.
both Pertuset and I were like, are we playing a telltale game right now? What's going on?
Oh gosh. But yeah. So, if you do have such ways if that's your morally gray as being manipulative, it's an uphill battle, let me tell you, for one. But for two, if you are playing a long haul 1 to 20 or otherwise just long campaign, that's the way to do it.
Yep.
Slow and steady conversations. And you also got to hedge your bets. You got to know your group. Are they going to even let you manipulate their characters?
Mhm.
Because generally, a lot of people won't. It's a tough thing to swing.
And do keep in mind, that is playing a morally ambiguous character with an end goal in mind. Some
That as
people
well.
just like to play the morally ambiguous character because of the fact that not everyone in real life is necessarily a good person. And, some
hmm
people just are more selfish or greedy and those kinds of, and that's well and good. But I think like both of you have mentioned up to this point, there is kind of an expectation when you're playing D&D that you are playing a character to participate in a story.
hmm
So just playing a guy who's like a person, and so they have a flaw because they're just like a person who is greedy. Sure. Like,
True.
but 9 times out of 10, you probably should have some reason in mind for why your character is the way that. I mean, you do the exact same thing with morally good characters as well.
Mhm.
Morally good
hmm
characters typically have a reason for why they're being good, other than it's just the right thing to do, or I want to be a good person. It's because they had an experience when they were younger in their backstory where now they want to be a good person because of that, or this, that, and the other. So the exact same thing applies to playing a not good character, too.
hmm
And I think that flows into, because I was going to bring up what you were saying with like not everybody has like the big grand end goal. Since we have, I feel like two very different morally gray characters. Um, like Ren has no intention of manipulating the party. Like it's very different from Caiaphas, because I don't know if I ever mentioned this to even you guys on our own or during the podcast, is the entire point of Ren is what would happen if basically you created a paladin, but they never had the opportunity to be a paladin, is kind of how I envisioned
I
Ren
don't know
whenever I
if you did
created
ever
them.
mention that.
I don't think that I did because the way that they like they're not a good person and they're aware that they're not a good person, but they are not a mean person
No.
by any means. Like I feel like kindness because they Ren is actually lawful neutral. They're not actually evil aligned in any way, shape, or form. They do have a strict moral code that they follow. Just good luck trying to figure out what the hell it is. Um, but I think that that's a big difference is you have the morally gray, more evil leaning character that is hell bent on world domination, and then the one that is like because of circumstances not a great person but does have one goal that may be selfish. Their goal is inherently selfish. But as not morally gray for the sake of harming other people or enacting their will on other people, but just morally gray because that's what they know and that's how they know how to interact with the world because they're also very painfully aware that the world is not good. Like I don't know if that's making any sense, but I feel like it's two very different ways of interacting with the world of both of us are interacting with the world because we know that the world is inherently not good and people are inherently not good, but it's two different outcomes of how our actions affect that.
Very true. Then you have Odin.
Yeah.
That
Also morally gray.
Also very morally gray, but in the third opposite direction that has nothing to do with any of this.
Surprisingly, not a murder hobo because he hasn't really killed people.
He killed one person.
Um,
He fed one person to the bag.
that's true. I forgot. I keep forgetting that happened. It's like the bag wiped
I
out my
don't.
memory of it happening too.
It's burned
Um,
into my brain.
But yeah, no, Odin. It. How to describe Odin? He gremlin.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to overuse the phrase that is commonly used for small, chaotic creatures, but he gives that energy
Mm-hmm.
very heavily. The player playing this character, whose name is Odin, they are playing a kobold, and they're very much leaning into like a stereotype kobold, not like oh, I'm gonna do something that like they crawl around
And
and
he's having so much fun with
they
it.
he gobbles up any treasures he can find. He grabs them up. He doesn't steal from people, but if he
No.
finds something that is not owned by someone in the immediate vicinity, he will take it.
Anything that's not nailed down.
Yeah. And he is in fact the character which triggered the combat from last night, which resulted in the anger from the other younger character that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I think that's the thing with Odin is I feel like he is more of a chaotic good though than necessarily morally ambiguous. Because
Yeah.
I think when it comes to a genuine moral question of like if you put him like let's say we do like the trolley problem for Odin.
Oh dear
I think
God.
Odin would sit down and make a genuine decision based off of like the moral implications of the situation and try to find the
Uh,
best outcome.
I
I
don't
think it's more the
know.
consequences of his actions that turn it more unintentionally morally ambiguous.
I mean, for me, based on his reasoning for what he did and his lack of remorse last night,
He had a good time.
it makes him morally ambiguous and not good. When you endanger people and you're like, who cares? That's pretty not good. That's
True, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, we did have three people almost get eaten by a crocodile, one of which was him.
Did a crocodile ever actually bite him?
yes,
Yeah,
the
because
big
that's why
one.
I stabbed
Oh,
it. Because
I
that's I
forgot.
it
Yeah,
died
yep.
while I was trying to wrench him out of its mouth.
Forgot that happened right at the end. Yep. That's
Don't ignore my kill, Levi. That was the one hit that I made the entire combat.
yeah. I suppose out of everything, I think that what occurred last night was probably the most morally ambiguous thing he has done
Yes.
so far. Which is
Definitely.
perhaps where I'm getting sort of caught in the webs there, because I feel like everything else up before that point could be argued that he has been more, not necessarily with any like rhyme or reason good, but he has been good up till that point. But yeah, I can agree that his reasoning after the fact probably was not
Maybe.
necessarily the best, the morally correct
Mhm.
reasoning. No,
He has simply not had as many opportunities to show his true colors.
perhaps.
Odin is going to be the one gunning for world domination. It's just none of us are
Yeah.
aware. He plays it up that he's not, and
That's
it's going to be
also a
the
funny
end,
thing
the
to do,
twist.
to be the idiot. If everybody thinks you're a fool, they'll all be surprised.
Something, something, fool's fate, something.
Yeah,
Play it Emperor Claudius style.
exactly. Uh,
Oh,
other than that,
Oh, we got to
I
talk about our assassination.
we do.
true.
I think that was a big thing because in other campaigns we have usually started off as like guns for hire. We have done the mercenary thing. We've been the band of traveling adventurers that go and do jobs. I think that this is the first one where we, or more specifically, Pertuset, has sought out work that is leaning more into that questionable morality. Because I mean, it usually is like we go how Taryn died in campaign 2, we were hired to go clear out a town of like a goblin invasion and save the town and get people back into their homes. We did like artifact finding in our first campaign for a great overarching goal serving the emperor. We were generally on the side of the nobility and the quote unquote good guys. And technically we're on the side of nobility for this one as well. But this one we were tasked with the thing that he didn't want to get his people's hands dirty because it's nasty business and bad work.
Precisely. And I think that going off of sort of what we had just said about Odin, this job that you guys did was probably the first big moment where collectively as a group all of you agreed to do something that probably wasn't necessarily a morally good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
true.
I do think in that regard that it is a big turning point for sort of the theme of the campaign, because like you were saying, Jordan, generally in the first two campaigns, if you want to call the very first one really even a campaign,
Yeah.
um, the through line was you started as adventurers for hire, mercenaries, and then after 3 or 4 levels, you transitioned into you've been recognized by your work by some overarching organization who is now like, hey, I want you guys to do a good, like, I want to hire you as mercenaries still, but it's for a good purpose now. And then through that, you become heroes and you get entwined in the main story, and then you end up saving the world. Um, this one, which I have very much appreciated, I've liked it a lot. You guys have much more just stuck to the, yeah, we're mercenaries pretty much.
Yeah.
And you've
We
just
don't
been
even have a party
doing,
name.
yeah, you've
Mhm.
just been doing what mercenaries would do, which is you're going around, and if someone's like, hey, I want to hire you, you're like, okay, how much you paying? Like, it is strictly a business transaction in
Mm-hmm.
this campaign, and I like that.
We have
It's
right of
cool and
first
it's
refusal
different.
now.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I hope that things continue because we step back and take a look at the people that would call themselves good on 10. There's half of the group or more. I don't know what Sylvie is.
I'd say probably, how many of you? There's 6 of you.
Mhm.
So I'd say, what would that be? 4 out of 6. That's 2/3. Two
Yeah.
thirds would probably, if you asked them to their face, they'd probably say, yeah, I try to be like a good person.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I'd
if
say,
you asked Ren to their face, they would also tell you that they're a
okay,
fully
so five
law-abiding
sixths.
citizen. They'd be lying, but they would tell you that they've never done anything wrong in their
Okay,
entire
but
life.
without lying. Like they're
Without
saying
lying,
it
yeah.
and they think that they are correct in saying it regardless
Yeah.
of what is true or not.
Yeah.
Then I would say 2/3, because I would say Odin, Sylvie, Medley, and Brandon would all say that and be thinking to themselves, like,
Mhm.
yes, that is a true statement when they say
True.
it.
True. Caiaphas would be like, I'm doing the right thing.
Yep.
That's what he would think and say.
I think Caiaphas recognizes that his morality is not the same morality as everyone else. I think he just thinks everyone else is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But my goal, and I think that that was the first step towards it as well, getting that job and everyone taking it. I want Gestalt's fault. Total ego death of the group. When this campaign's over,
Nietzsche
I
over
want,
here.
yes, I want everybody in this group at the end of it to be a complete shell of who they were when they started.
You definitely shook Ren whenever that happened, because whenever it was proposed and we took the job, because we had started talking about how to do it subtly, because we had initially talked about poisoning, and so my character is a changeling, and so we had floated the idea like, yeah, I can sneak in and slip something into somebody's glass, like I can pretend to be the person and hand him a drink and then slip back into the crowd quietly, and then Pertuset's character brought up, no, we're killing this dude in broad daylight and you're the one doing it. And there, despite not being a good person and being like generally okay with mercenary work and having been on security detail and acted as a guard and done that kind of stuff, that was probably the first person that Ren has looked in the eyes and just flat out annihilated. And so that there was definitely a moment of like, what do you mean you want me to just murk somebody in broad daylight? Like, that's not how
Somebody
this
who
works.
wasn't even necessarily a bad person, really.
No. It's just a circumstance, literally a flip of a coin, trying to figure out who we were gonna get, because there were two options, and we ended up getting both of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect, though. I'm hoping for a moment at the end of this, assuming we all survive, where Caiaphas can hit you all with the, do you all think you're really good people? Do you know the
Ooh.
things you've done?
Ooh.
I never did.
I know, but I can't wait for something like that. I want total ego death for their group. I want everybody to be
Oh,
like,
that's
That's
that
horrifying, and I
kills me
love
because
it.
that's such a juxtaposition from like I just think about Zamda and Hector in the last campaign and how everything culminated in basically like I feel their relationship was the statement of saying you're a good man, Hector Ravenwing.
Mhm.
Like after everything we went through together, that's just such a juxtaposition between the two campaigns, and I like that so much.
Heartbreaking.
Even though it's not the same characters, they're
Mhm.
separated across
There are
dimensions.
pieces that's the D&D multiverse exists, even though they're not technically connected. There are pieces of every single
Oh.
character that we've played in the next character.
it's
You
true
can't get rid of it.
It's called the player. It's called
Yeah, I
because
know.
in theory, if all goes well, the same thing will happen where I will be saying, you're a good man, Brandon Fell, for helping me doing what I'm doing.
No, you're gonna fucking break him.
It'll be
Oh,
beautiful.
Oh my
It'll be excellent.
this is
God.
gonna be an
Like a
This is gonna be
black rose
brutal.
blooming.
Like, I know that this is where we're headed, but like when we're playing it, my brain cuts that part out because I don't know that part, and then we start talking about it after the fact. I'm like, oh my God, it's that we're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
You guys have done a very good job as a group because I do, like I said earlier, I think there's this collective recognition in the group that everyone knows Caiaphas has some bad motive.
Yes.
Even if not everyone necessarily understands what it is. And I think everyone has done a very good job of just being like ignoring it and just pretending that it doesn't exist because the characters don't know.
No, we have no way of knowing other than being highly suspicious that somebody is nice, which is not a normal character trait that one would have.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no. Brandon and Medley, I don't think have almost any suspicions of Caiaphas at all because they don't have that understanding of like, no one's this nice.
No, I think Brandon trusts him completely.
Yeah.
And that's going back to what we were saying about manipulative intentions. Ren has no intention of manipulating the party, but then here's Brandon say these things and they're like, that's you cried when you killed somebody for the first time. What do you mean you're gonna let let idiots be idiots. That's not you saying that. Who told you that?
Mm. It's also great. I do have to say one thing or two things that I like about playing my character is as well as well, he started with a 20 in charisma because we played with rolled stats plus racial bonuses, the custom ones.
Mhm.
So I've been playing him to be very charismatic, but in a certain kind of way, in a cult leader kind of way.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very cult leader.
Um, and then his intelligence is also relatively high. He has a 16 in intelligence as a sorcerer who has no need for an intelligence to be that high.
Yep.
And as such, I get to this goes into the second thing I really like about playing this character is he almost always is just sitting there and listening, not saying anything, not doing anything, just waiting for the right moment to talk, if at all, which is really fun. Especially because Victor did too much talking for my liking last campaign. So I'm enjoying just sitting there and hanging out and waiting for the right moment. On the downside, though, my movement speed is 20 feet because I'm not strong enough to carry my armor.
You'll get there
Gotta
soon,
trade off
buddy.
that RP capability for some
Yeah.
gameplay downsides, but
I forgot that that's why your movement speed was 20.
you'll get
Yeah.
there eventually. You're doing your
It's
thing.
worth it. My AC is so worth it.
Mhm.
Although I still
Ugh.
die to a stiff dex save.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what else more is there to say on morally ambiguous characters?
Mm.
Do we think what do we think the shift is going to be? The people that currently define themselves as good, do we think there will ever be a moment where they're like, other than the complete ego death of the party, do you think there will ever be a moment where they're like, okay, this maybe I'm not a good person and I'm okay with this?
I'm calling it right now based on information that I know and that none of the rest of you know. I'm just gonna say what I think the end result is gonna be right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Brandon's gonna have ego death and not become evil, but become morally gray.
just
Uh,
apathetic,
yeah.
I'll take it.
Ren is gonna become a good person, like morally good.
probably.
Caiaphas is gonna stick to what he's sticking to. Uh, Odin will probably stick the through line and become morally good. Sylvie's a basket. I don't know. I cannot
Sylvie's a
predict
wild
the
card.
machinations of the mind of Sylvie. And who's left? Who did Taryn?
Taryn's
I'm
not
not
convinced
sure
that he's
about
gonna survive.
Taryn.
Taryn's convinced
Because
he's gonna die in the next like 3
well,
sessions.
There's a problem with Taryn, which is that it's that thing we've been talking about of the player versus the character. Because Taryn's gonna like going one way because it's gonna make him stronger,
Yeah.
and Taryn likes power gaming. But the other he could go the other way and it wouldn't make him like power gamey, but then that would be the other way. So that's the thing I'm torn between with him is it really banks off of how well Taryn's gonna balance between the player influencing and the character influencing how
And
that
if he
goes.
survives the next couple
Mhm.
of sessions.
And if he survives the next couple of sessions.
If I
He's
had to
convinced he's
figure,
not gonna.
he'll be fine. Uh, if I had to figure for Medley, assuming Medley survives all that's going on in our campaign right now, um, I think Taryn is going to be an example of the unshakable will of the player. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I think I could do my darndest to get Medley to side with Caiaphas, or at the very least to just become a nihilist. And it won't work because that's not Taryn's vision of Medley, so therefore it won't stick.
The nihilist, I think you might get pretty close on. Because that,
Maybe.
like, everything just keeps beating that character down.
That's what I'm planning on
Such
playing
a
off of.
way.
That's what
Well, you got to get to it because I finally put in an NPC that's not being mean
I know I gotta get
to
that guy
Medley.
out of
I
here.
love Earl.
Have you heard how many times I'm like, and then we turn on Earl?
Yes.
There's,
Oh, I hear it.
there's what's that line? There's a half truth to every joke or something like that. But
And then we kill him.
I love Earl.
Yeah, it wasn't
Everybody
character.
else,
Earl got changeling jump scared last night and was cool about it.
if I was smarter about it, I would have talked to Odin as well as Brandon, but
Man, I
I
hope
didn't
none of
want
them
to.
watch this episode.
That's okay if they do.
I'm so upset that I'm not being socially manipulated.
It
I
is
feel
okay
like
if they
You're-
do, but like I think it makes it funnier if they don't. I think because
Don't
they
you?
have the opportunity to get this information and they're just not. They're just,
Yeah, cat box. No. Ren manipulating somebody that's smart, which Caiaphas sees Ren as, is like it's like trying to get two magnets of opposite poles or of the same pole to attract, right? It
Mhm.
goes repel. Woo. It's not going to work.
That's
But
Ren's opinion of Brandon. Ren thinks that Brandon is immune to their charms because he's too smart to fall for any of their bullshit. But they're wrong.
now, conversely, if you get a third magnet whose name starts with an A and you wave that over the other magnet, you might be able
Yeah.
to get them to do the first magnet's bidding.
Yeah,
ooh.
that's your through line. I'm real
Ooh.
concerned with you making friends with her.
If
Well,
one fort is impervious, simply siege it out and attack its sister city.
Yup. That's the Achilles heel right there. And it's a dangerous one because it has been proven time and time again that they do very, very stupid things when their sister is involved. Like giving the cult their direct coordinates of where they're heading next. You know, the cult that's hunting them.
Ah, we're chill.
well,
Well,
I think
they might be chill, but the rest of that group may not be chill.
Nah, they're chill. They're chill. They're
That's
chill.
I thought about that whenever because I hesitated for a second when that happened
Mhm.
last night because I'm like, is Ren desperate enough to completely blow their spot and let the enemy know where we're headed? Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Now, Sylvie is a complete wild card, and I don't know if there's anything Caiaphas could do to get that one under control.
yep. Because also
Honestly.
you're technically dealing with two different people and you don't know when.
Yes.
You don't.
Yeah,
I think that you could convince one of the Sylvies, and I won't tell you which one.
maybe.
I know which one you could convince. I know.
But
Because she sold out a party member for money.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the right answer.
Best move for that is make sure that that thing is far away whenever things are going down. That's what you do with something unpredictable.
Put
And
her on cart duty.
then Odin, I mean, like, by the time we get there, he'll probably have a lot of money, but if I have something he wants, I can just be like, I'll give it to you if you,
Shiny.
yeah, I'll give you a Scooby treat.
Okay.
An Odin snack.
Would you
Yeah.
do it for an Odin snack?
Yeah.
What about two Odin snack? Oh.
And if I have his beloved hummus, that might work too.
Precisely.
True. Although his beloved hummus is quite mad at him right now.
Oh, for
True, it
now.
might not be beloved much longer.
Hey,
who's to say?
if I can get 3 people, that's fine with me because myself included, because that'll be half of the group, and as far as I'm concerned, that's a success.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think all of this talking about the inner machinations of both of your characters' minds is in itself a fantastic example of how to play a morally ambiguous character. That's
Yeah,
the kind of mindset you got to get yourself into. So,
true. Stay tuned next episode for when we talk about how to play Beatrice the Golden.
might actually be doing that.
Character
Not sure
Forge.
yet.
That would be
Press
crazy.
the witch laugh button, Pertuset.
Oh, I got that. I can do that.
I wish I could hear it every time. I need to just get like you know how the president during the Cold War had the red phone that goes straight to the Soviet Union?
You need a witch laugh
I need
phone.
that, and I just need to plug it into my headset, so every time you press that button, I also hear it. Oh, all right. Well,
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the episode you just listened to. If you really like our content, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on YouTube, and look for us on Spotify. If you'd like to see us continuing to do more fun projects in the future, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can find our page linked in the description above all of our other social media links. And finally, if you'd like to keep up with the zany shenanigans of our lives and check out some more skit-based content and things like that, check us out on Twitter and TikTok, links in the description. And hey, thanks!